Patty was exhausted from a long list of job interviews she had to conduct today. She sat down relaxing, watching TV with a cup of coffee. She wondered was it a mistake having a cup of coffee, as it would more than likely keep her awake all night. She needed something to calm her nerves anyway, as her day was hectic, so she decided to enjoy her cup. Suddenly her cell phone rang. It was a private number, which she usually never answered, but something told her to answer the phone. When she did, she heard a familiar voice. "Hello, Patty," a woman said. Patty said, "Hello, who is this?" The woman said, "Patty, this is going to come as a shock to you, but you are in grave danger. Please don't say anything for a minute. I am your future self. You are in grave danger because I am speaking to you from the other side. I can't show you myself because if you see yourself dead, it will affect a lot of different things. You need to look in your attic right now. There is a ladder in the hall that you were using to paint the hall. Now what I need you to do, to stay safe, is climb that ladder. Look to see is there a device like a bomb in your attic, and trust me, it will be there. It should be detonated in 5 minutes, but I'll tell you how to safely dispose of the bomb. Don't worry. Don't try to get out of your house, because the house is rigged. If you try to leave by window or door, it will activate the bomb. Please don't waste any more time. Do it now." Patty was in shock when the person hung up. She wondered, well, she knew it had to be some sort of prank. How could her future self be talking to her? But just in case there was something to it, because she did have an open mind, she got the ladder and put it under her attic. She climbed the ladder and put on the light and took a look around. She got a shock when she saw in front of her the person she refused an impersonation job for, a new show on the local TV channel. The person put a rope around her neck and said, "You bitch, you should have given me that job." Then as the rope was around Patty's neck, she was pushed down. She then hung from the rope while the woman placed a typed suicide note on the ground next to her body. Thanks for watching The Assassin Rapper, and if you want to stay up to date on new content, then please subscribe and be sure to hit the bell to be notified on new content. Jack was a career criminal. He made a small fortune for himself, committing different crimes over the years, and he was very good at going undetected. He was never caught for any crime he committed. If he wrote a book about how he did it, it would be a bestseller with criminals. Jack lived in a mansion in the Hamptons and used to love to chill out by the swimming pool with a cocktail and enjoy the high life his crime allowed him. He loved to think of the saying, "Crime pays," and he added to it, especially when you're a smooth criminal like himself. He felt like going for a road trip one day, so decided to take a trip across the country. He felt like going on a journey with no destination, just drive and enjoy the scenery, so that's exactly what he did. He drove and drove, stopping at motels now and then, and there were times he drove from daytime all through the night. He snorted lots of cocaine to stay awake. He ended up in this small town, which only seemed to have a diner, bank, post office, and another handful of shops. He decided the bank was an easy target, so made up his mind he was going to rob it. When he was in the room in the motel, he saw a flyer that said, "Give blood to the blood bank. Call 1-800 Bank now." He thought back to when he was younger, before his life of crime. One of the ways he made money was give blood, and he would get payment for his blood. He'd realised it was a very good thing to do, helping people. When he finally entered the bank wearing a mask, he held the gun to the girl behind the counter and shouted, "Hold up your hands and give me the money." The girl got a fright and held up her hands in panic. After a few minutes, the girl passed over loads of money in bags, and Jack left the bank and jumped in his car. He decided to not bother go back to the diner. It wasn't worth the risk of getting caught, so he just drove out of town. But before he could even get halfway down the road, he saw a very strange sight. There were lots of pale women in black dresses in a line all across the road. He stopped the car. He got out and shouted, "What the hell is this? I'm trying to drive on the road." One of the women pointed towards him and said, "You must have seen the flyer, which said give blood to the blood bank. That is a sort of cryptic message to our coven. You see, we are witches, and we have a witch's coven. And that bank is where we fund our coven. And you have taken all our money, so it's not a case of you giving blood. It's a case of us spilling your blood." With that, all the women walked towards Jack, and with knives started cutting into him until his blood poured out of his lifeless body, which lay dead on the ground. Thanks for watching The Assassin Rapper, and if you want to stay up to date on new content, then please subscribe and be sure to hit the bell to be notified on new content. It was summer in New Orleans when a pastor found out about a mysterious voodoo cult. He was sent an anonymous letter saying that the doom and evil would fall among their town if something wasn't done, and it had to be done from a man of faith. He was told there would be dolls hanging up around somewhere in the town. It needed to be ended by a man of faith. It needed to be a case that the man of faith cut the dolls down. He was shocked reading the letter, but a part of him was just dismissing it, thinking it must be some teenagers with nothing else better to do with their time than write a letter to the local pastor. But all of his skepticism changed in the next few days, when he was going for a walk in the woods, and he had seen lots of dolls hanging off trees. He didn't like the look of it, and put it down to some voodoo or black magic ritual. He came back a while later with the scissors and cut them all down. He counted them individually, and there were 13 dolls exactly. He went home and was in shock while listening to the radio when the newsreader said, "There has been 13 people in a local New Orleans town, Glenside, found dead under mysterious circumstances. It is not known yet what is the cause of the deaths, but the local police are looking for any witnesses or dashcam footage of any of the scenes. There were in various parts of the town. We will keep you updated on this story as more information comes into us." A few minutes later, he walked into his son's room, and his son was playing a computer game. It looked to be one of those violent games. The screen said, "Now cut the doll from the string it's hanging on in the ceiling and you will win the game." The son had just cut it before his dad walked in the room, and before his dad could get mad at him for playing another violent game. His dad dropped dead. The son screamed and ran over to his dad, not knowing that the so-called online game he was playing led to the death of his father. When the pastor cut the 13 dolls down, it had to be his own flesh and blood cut another doll down to the pastor be the 14th death. Thanks for watching The Assassin Rapper, and if you want to stay up to date on new content, then please subscribe and be sure to hit the bell to be notified on new content. There were 4 random strangers chosen to share in a prize of $100,000 if any one of them solved a puzzle. It started with a simple phone call. Sarah was in her office when she got the call. "Hello, this is a genuine request. You're under no obligation to say yes, but you and 3 other people are invited to take part in a puzzle. If you or any of the rest of the participants solve the puzzle, ye will all share in the prize of $100,000. That's giving ye all exactly $25,000 each. That is a nice payback for just a few minutes' work. If you would like to participate, then all you have to do is arrive at Madison Hotel on Grove Street at 6 p.m. this evening. There is an elevator on the ground floor. Just wait outside that elevator for the door to open. Then please enter with the rest of the participants. You will all know that ye are there for the puzzle, don't worry. The same phone call arrived for Jack, who was in the gym working out. Tony got his call while out walking, and Mary got her call while watching TV. They all agreed to take part in the puzzle. That evening at 6 p.m, they were all waiting outside the elevator, waiting for it to open, excited with the chance of pocketing $25,000 each if any of them solved the puzzle. Suddenly the elevator doors opened, and they all stepped inside. The elevator started going up, and a voice came through the speaker. "Hello, player. Thank you very much for taking part in this puzzle that enables you to have a chance of winning $25,000 each. The question to the puzzle is simple. The floors of this hotel have various occupants at different times. Sometimes, but other times not as much. But what button in this elevator is pressed the most? If you can't answer by the time we reach the top floor, you will be shown the answer on the display in the elevator, but unfortunately you will lose out in the money. This is the most important rule. If you give a wrong answer, you will all lose the game. Good luck." The elevator started going up to the top floor. Everyone started talking about it, trying to solve the puzzle. It sounded so complicated, especially when there were different numbers of people staying in different floors at different times. Everyone knew there was 15 floors in the hotel, so Sarah shouted first floor before it hit 15. They all hoped the answer was right. Then suddenly the voice came back and said, "I am very sorry. You were very close, but the answer is ground floor, because everyone has to go to the ground floor. As promised, we will show you the answer, which is everyone has to go to the ground floor. Suddenly the elevator made a bang and started falling faster and faster, and everyone in it started screaming until it crashed to the floor and they were all killed. Thanks for watching The Assassin Rapper, and if you want to stay up to date on new content, then please subscribe and be sure to hit the bell to be notified on new content. Michael was waiting in the waiting room at his local optician's when a girl approached him and said to him, "Hello, Michael, here is a sheet you need to fill out and your eye test will be $30. And if you would like a full 3D scan of your eye to see will there be any problems for you within the next 4 years with your eyesight, then it will be another $25. So you can tick the box if you'd like to have the scan as well as the eye test, and someone will be down to see you for your eye test very soon. Thank you." Michael thanked the girl and filled out the sheet. He decided to get the scan done, considering it a very good idea to know if he will have any problems with his eyes down the road. And 4 years is a very good time range to know beforehand. When Michael entered the room, he was told to rest his chin on a chin rest and look through 2 holes while a girl introduced herself as Sarah. She asked him various questions, which colour was better for him, red or green, and the test went on a few minutes. It ended with Michael having to read out different letters from different lines. Sarah asked, "Could you read the top 3 lines please, Michael?" Michael said, E, F, P, T, O, Z. Sarah said, "Very good. Now could you please read the 4th line?" He read them, L, P, E, D. "Very good. Now if you could read the last few lines please, but it will be getting a bit harder." Michael was pleased to be able to read them, P, E, C, F, D, E, D, F, L, O, P, Z, D, D, E, F, P, O, T, E, C, L, E, F, O, D, P, C, T. Then it came to the scan. Michael was asked to put his eyes on the chin rest again while his eyes were being scanned. Sarah was looking at her screen afterwards, explaining to Michael that everything with his eyes was in great health and he just had to get a bit stronger prescription for his glasses. Michael chose a red pair of glasses and was very happy everything seemed okay. That night when he got home, it started first. He kept getting a vision of some man in a black suit shooting him. He found out by the opticians they had no person by the name of Sarah working in the opticians. He put it down to the eye test why he was getting these crazy visions. The visions went on for months and months of the man shooting him. One night when he was walking, he got such a fright as the man who was in his visions who shot him was walking towards him. Michael panicked when he saw the man put his hand in his pocket, guessing it was a gun to shoot him. So Michael couldn't think of anything else but to push the man into a car that was just passing. The man lied on the street, and before he died he said to Michael, "I just wanted to give you back your wallet you dropped." A week later, Michael was arrested for murder and realised that it wasn't only the optician could see what happened to his eyes in the next 4 years, but he could see what happened to him. But he couldn't figure out, why did the man only want to give him back his wallet when he had visions that he was going to kill him? He'd only wanted to give him back his wallet. That's what Michael could not figure out. Suddenly, when he was walking out of court, being convicted of murder, a man exactly like the man he killed walked up to him and pulled out a gun and said, "You bastard, you killed my twin brother," and he shot Michael between his eyes. Thanks for watching The Assassin Rapper, and if you want to stay up to date on new content, then please subscribe and be sure to hit the bell to be notified on new content. Sam was working in a pet shop to face his fears. The reason he had a fear of birds was when he grew up in his town. Every time someone died in a mysterious way, he would see a bird follow him. He knew that if he worked in a pet shop all day, then it would break the random act of seeing a bird follow him. It was advice he took from his doctor in a local psych ward. He worried would it only cause more people to get killed, but luckily for 5 years now, he hadn't experienced any bird following him, and there was no mysterious death in his town. While Sam spent time in a local psych ward, he was trying to explain his situation. He eventually knew that all the doctors would think he was crazy if he kept believing when a bird followed him, there would be a mysterious death. So what he did was begin to tell the doctors he must have been going through some sort of breakdown, but he knows now that of course what he believed back then wasn't true, and he doesn't believe it now. Sam was on his laptop getting ready for the 5-year anniversary party of the pet shop. He was finishing the final touches, sending out emails to his customer list, reminding them that there will be free gifts and snacks all day tomorrow, celebrating 5 years of being in business. The next day the shop was full of customers enjoying the party. Sam was so happy that his plan had worked. He first realised it 5 years ago when he did what his first doctor said. It isn't real. The birds are not connected to any deaths. That is when the deaths stopped. He smiled over at his doctor, who treated him in the psych ward. While opening a bird cage, he whispered, "I believe the birds are responsible for deaths." Suddenly the birds followed Sam out of the shop, and just before the birds could reach the door, he made sure to run and close it, watching everyone in the store drop dead. Then he smiled and said to himself, "They should have believed me." Thanks for watching The Assassin Rapper, and if you want to stay up to date on new content, then please subscribe and be sure to hit the bell to be notified on new content. Susan was looking through old papers and documents in her family home that was standing for over 300 years. She didn't remember her parents that much because they were killed in a freak accident in their garden. She didn't know the details. She had photos of them, and that is all she remembered. She was reading through different documents when she came to a certain one that grabbed her attention instantly. It read, "I put the treasure in the garden for safekeeping." It was signed by her mom. She noticed the date in the diary entry was exactly the same day her mom had her accident. She wondered, was she murdered for the treasure? This kept bothering Susan more and more. When she was out walking, she kept thinking, were her parents murdered for whatever was buried in her garden? She thought all through the years that her parents were in some sort of freak accident, and now she is worried that it was plain, old-fashioned murder. A week later, she had enough of wondering and just had to go out to the garden to dig up the treasure. There was a page that had the exact position of the garden where it would be. She had a pitchfork and shovel and dug until eventually she hit a hard piece of what she guessed was wood. Sure enough, it was a chest, and when she opened it, she smiled, seeing that it was full of what looked like priceless gold and jewels. She came across photos that made her nearly get sick, as there were photos of her parents and what she guessed were her grandparents, with some sort of spike in her eye. She suddenly heard a noise, and her leg slipped, and she fell on the fork, which gouged right into her eye. She screamed, realizing that the spikes in the fork were what were in her parents' and grandparents' eyes. She fell into the hole and screamed when she saw what looked like a white ghost hovering over her, and within seconds she realized there were bones near her, and seconds later she was buried alive. The spirit was of Mason Jeffers, the estranged son who was cut out of his inheritance over 250 years ago. Thanks for watching The Assassin Rapper, and if you want to stay up to date on new content, then please subscribe and be sure to hit the bell to be notified on new content. Lee was looking forward to go to a new club tonight. It played his favourite music, drum and bass, and he was really looking forward to letting go after a hard week's work. He used to look at dancing to drum and bass as a workout, especially when he stopped taking drugs a year ago. When he got to the club, he was dancing with his friends and really enjoying the thump of the drum and bass in the club. There was a guy outside their group who was dared by his friends to spike Lee's drink. He dropped a tablet with 2022 written on it. His friends told him that it wasn't ecstasy, but a new type of hallucinogenic drug. He had a choice of magic mushrooms, or a tablet with a star on it, or 2022. But since it was the 1st of January 2022, he decided to spike his drink with that pill. After a while, Lee was coming up on the trip, and he felt great. His friends didn't even realize until after an hour it was obvious he was on a very, very bad trip. Suddenly the club became like a dark woods, and his friends were replaced with demons. This was all in Lee's head, of course, but there was no point in his friends saying that. When he was outside the club instead of it being night, it was like he was in the middle of all colours, floating around, spinning around. He couldn't make sense of it, but it was terrifying him. He was inconsolable. No matter how much his friends tried to talk him down from the trip, they couldn't. They expected the next day he would have a very bad come down. But the real nightmare came when they realised he didn't come out of the trip. A whole week later, it was then he was put into a psych ward for his own safety. When the guy who spiked Lee's drink heard about what happened, he couldn't believe that he was still tripping. And he couldn't believe it that it was true. Whoever took that pill would be on a trip for all of 2022. And to make it worse, Lee was on a very, very bad trip. Thanks for watching The Assassin Rapper, and if you want to stay up to date on new content, then please subscribe and be sure to hit the bell to be notified on new content. Sarah was looking forward to watch a movie called The Last Night on Earth that she was lent by her sister. It seemed to be a great horror movie, which Sarah loved. Any horror movie was her type of movie. She loved the suspense and the thrill of what could happen next. Sarah's best friend Louise was calling over to watch the movie in about 30 minutes. Sarah decided to have a quick shower, so she left a note on the dining room table saying she was in the shower and won't be long. When Sarah was in the shower, she was humming to her favourite Guns N' Roses song, Paradise City. She had a habit of singing or humming in the shower. A few minutes later, there was a knock on the shower door. Sarah shouted, "Hi Louise, thanks for letting me know you're there. I'll be down in 2 minutes." When Sarah was out of the shower, she heard a car pull up in her drive. She was shocked when she looked out the window, realizing Louise had just pulled into her driveway. It hit her suddenly. If Louise was just after pulling into her driveway, then who had just knocked at the shower door? A cold shiver ran up her spine, and suddenly a figure dressed in black stood in front of her and said, "I hope you enjoyed your last night on Earth," and shot her dead. Thanks for watching The Assassin Rapper, and if you want to stay up to date on new content, then please subscribe and be sure to hit the bell to be notified on new content.